show, I guess, with Zach Nunez. Zach, pleasure to have you back.
Always good to be here.
And got a little bit of big news between the last time we talked and now. Obviously, Friday it dropped that Jordan Seaton did end up signing with LSU. Kiffin kind of teased it with the tiger emoji with like 6 exclamation points, and I think pretty much everyone knew what that meant. And then within 30 minutes, he put that electric commitment video, which was more just like a LSU montage over the last couple of years. But I enjoyed that. So, I mean, what are your initial thoughts? This obviously shores up the O-line in a big way. I've left less question marks there. And then my big thing is that's now 2 massively high-profile recruitments where money is the key factor, where LSU has actually won.
Yeah, I'm gonna work backwards based upon how you kind of talks about it. 2 big recruits, money being the big factor. Sam Leavitt, Jordan Seaton. The biggest thing for me is they were here, they had visits, they left without signing. Kiffin got his ass on a plane to track them down and say, "Nah, you're not signing with LSU. You're coming back with me." And I think that is one of the coolest things to have in a head coach who's going to go out and get after it. And it's like, no, I'm not losing this battle. And I think that's one of the most amazing things and amazing work ethics to have in a modern college football coach is the willingness to go and do that. In terms of what this does for the offensive line, I think the offensive line initially without Seaton had some question marks. Had some really good guys, but you didn't know how those pieces were kind of fit together. There was a lot of, well, this guy could go here, this guy could go here. Well, now you get a much more clear picture because you know who your nailed on left tackle is. And he's one of the best tackles in the country, and it's probably going to be one of the better offensive line units in the country, I hope. But just on paper, one of the better offensive line units in the country. And that's going to be so refreshing because we have not seen that since 2019.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And like you said, just having a coach that'll, go that extra mile to land some of these kids and understands the importance of these individual recruiting battles is just something I don't think we as LSU fans have been used to. There was definitely a way of doing things with the previous regime. And maybe not initially for the first couple of years was it all Brian Kelly's fault. I think there was, from what it sounds like, from hearing from other people, a lot of administration things that were maybe holding us back. But it just felt like, not even in the portal, just even in the high school, the big-time recruits that, they might commit to us early or something, but money was always the issue. It's going to be Miami, Oregon, A&M. Someone was going to come in the end and swoop in, and the kid was going to be like, well, LSU is my dream school. And then, 2 months later, he's committed to whatever. And then Tennessee, like with Tristan Keys, which I think it's so funny that these last rankings come out. All of a sudden, Tristan Keys is a 4-star, and out of nowhere, this is one of the biggest jumps I've ever seen following recruiting. Corey Barber goes from like damn near 200 in the Rivals rankings, like with the last update, and now he's the number 2 overall receiver. I mean, he's right over Chris Henry, who was like, I remember at one point when Kiffin first accepted the job, like officially, we threw some money at him, like on his signing day. Just crazy. Like, I'll be honest, I never really saw that. I've watched his highlights. All I know is that he did tear up this like Mississippi, Alabama all-star game, and I know he plays in the highest classification in what is it? Is it Georgia or Alabama? And he had like 1,100 yards. So that was shocking to me. Big Rich got his 5th star. That was not shocking to me at all. I don't understand why it took so long. I think all the local people in the state, like I know Scarborough says he thinks this is like the best D-line prospect Louisiana's had since Glenn Dorsey, which that's obviously huge praise, but I never understood why he wasn't a 5-star. And then Lamar Brown somehow drops like 9 spots, which I don't know. I don't know how you watch the all-American game, practices and game, and come to that conclusion. But it is a lot of politics.
Yeah, it's all politics. And the interesting part of all of that, I was actually listening to, it might have been Tristan Keys, who I'll take Corey Barber, damn right. But I was listening to something from was an old quote from Nick Saban talking about, it might have been recent. Either way, he was talking about how when he was going through the recruiting process, they didn't pay attention to 5, 3, 4, whatever amount of stars. He gave the example of Josh Jacobs and Damian Harris. He said Damian Harris was a 5-star, Josh Jacobs was a no star. They both went to the NFL. We just look at the tape. We look at what they do on the field, and then we go from there. We're not interested in stars or anything like that. And I think it's a little bit of a dramatic example to not look at stars entirely, but it makes sense because why would you listen to guys who have never been a coach more often than not over somebody who's been a coach their entire life and been around football since they were, looking at Lane Kiffin, his dad was a coach in the NFL. So I will trust their evaluation process, but I am not overly concerned with stars at this point, especially after hearing that, just because of how volatile that rating system is.
Right. And I know that Saban comment stirred up some stuff in the rivals community. I saw a lot of them trying to snap back to that comment. And it doesn't matter, but it shouldn't matter, but I think it kind of does in a sense, just because optically how fans judge coaches, especially in this day and age, recruiter rankings do matter. I mean, I see people pull up all the time, oh, we're ranked above you in 24/7, but not a 3. So, but yeah, I think it's right. It really shouldn't matter. I mean, I'm hoping the coaches aren't just brushing off on through website like, okay, let's go look and see who we can offer from here. Like there's got to be a better system than that. But got some chats. Love seeing Kiffin on the trail in a 337 day. Oh yeah, getting some boudin from Billy's. And we talked about this last week. It's just like the visibility with this staff is night and day better. You know where they are every single day. And it just seems like they're putting in a lot more work than the previous staff. Probably, maybe not, but you just never knew. You never assistant coaches doing anything. And I think, a lot of people are making a big deal about them going to Billy's. There's a great video, embracing Louisiana. I mean, Brian Kelly never did anything like that. I think the most Louisiana thing he ever did is when he got laid off and he went to Superior Marks the next day. So to see that, we're getting that before the first season with Lane Kiffin as opposed to at the end with Brian Kelly is a good sight to see.
Yeah, it's a great sight to see. And I mean, to see, it's not even like they were just doing it for just like, oh yeah, we're just going to go to this random rest stop, post a picture, and then dip. No, you see him and Kiffin and Kevin Smith sitting there, excuse me, ordering boudin, and Kiffin's making fun of him. He's like, you're not Louisiana at all. You are from Miami. He goes, I don't care. I'm ordering me some boudin. And I was like, I love it. I love to see how much they embrace the culture.
Yeah. And that was a great stop for them. That is a great place. Side note, Kevin Smith is a fucking unit. That dude is massive.
He looks like
I can see why he was a top 10 all-time NCAA rusher. He's fucking jacked.
Oh yeah, he looks like he could still be playing for anybody that needs a running back.
Yeah, I didn't know Kevin Smith is from Miami. That pisses off Gaines Van Duke. Yeah, Gaines Van Duke. Hope he comes in tonight. I mean, the world famous only Duke Blue Devil and Miami Hurricane fan. So would love to get his thoughts on Mensa officially going to the portal. I think, if I'm not mistaken, last week he assured us that we would not be getting Jordan Seaton. So interesting how that turned out.
Yeah, I bet he won't show.
Oh man, don't sleep on those Superior Marks. Yo, they'll hit you.
The problem, they'll put you to sleep. They'll put you to sleep is the problem. Woo-wee. I used to get the one with the little mini bottle of Corona in it when I was in school. Yeah, those some good nights.
I've heard that the one in Shreveport is even the drinks there are even more loaded up than Marks. So
you gotta be. You're in Shreveport.
I can't even imagine how, because the Baton Rouge ones are ridiculous. So I think we talked a little bit last week, what grade we would give the portal class. I know we threw the hypothetical, what if we do or don't get seeded. Now that I think the dust is settled, I think we're pretty much done.
Yeah.
From additions, at least anybody of potentially starting experience. What would you give the grade now that Seaton's officially in the class and everything's pretty much wrapped up?
Yeah, so I think last week I was kind of in the A-, B+, A- range. I will bump that up completely to an A now. I think to go and get 3 of the top 5 players in the portal, 2 of which who were big money guys. And to be able to land those guys after last year at this time, we were not in the business of buying players. It's an A for me. Like, just the icing on the cake there is getting Seaton, and it's a great tasting icing. It's an absolute A for me.
Yeah, got to be an A. I mean, exceeded expectations. Before Seaton, that's probably like type of class I was expecting. And Prince of was that was a nice addition that I didn't see coming as well. It made me think, like, I remember early in this cycle we were on, God, what was the Penn State kid name? Chaz Coleman or something?
Mm-hmm.
We were on him. We did get him. Same with Damon Wilson, who I think is at Miami now.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I think about it, it's probably just because it was getting worked out with Prince. So, because that was really the only one. I think we all wanted Chaz Coleman initially, because I think he was like the first kid to roll into Baton Rouge for a visit. I remember he was flicked up with Kiffin in front of the Bentley with the jumpsuit on. I was like, damn, hey, here we go. But it got to be an A+. Got to be an A+ at this point, because never thought a guy like Seaton would enter the portal. And then obviously does. And some people are giving me shit like on TikTok, like, oh, y'all just paid the money for Seaton. Well, let me tell you, we know how it feels to lose these type of recruiting battles. So I can tell you, I would rather be on this side where you actually get the kid, because it's not my money, and it's definitely money well spent. I mean, the options were looking pretty barren out there at the rest of the O-line besides him. He entered kind of late. I don't want to be in the can't imagine where we'd be without him right now. There'd be a ton of questions on the O-line going into spring.
Oh yeah, and I still think there's a lot less questions now, but there still are some questions. Who starts at right tackle? Who starts at left guard? I think right guard, left tackle, and center are pretty nailed down at this point with Seaton and Braylon Moore. So I think you still have a couple questions to answer, but it makes a hell of a lot more sense now than what it did, a week and a half ago.
Absolutely. And how do we feel just kind of going into more of a dead period now? Like, I think it's on to this next high school recruiting class, but it has been like, at least for football, the news cycle has not let up since really the season started, and then Brian Kelly got fired, and then we got in all this drama. So it honestly feels kind of weird. Like, I feel like besides the scene stuff, not a ton has happened between the last time we did this, and I think it's going to be pretty quiet from here on out. I mean, this seems like it's going to be the team. So in a sense, it is a little nice to get a break, but I do miss some of the rush that this has been.
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword that is the college football news cycle. It's everything nonstop from mid-August to mid-January, and then after that it's like super quiet. I know the coaches will be still out on the trails and everything like that, and I don't really think some of those 27 kids are going to commit quite yet. But God, man, I feel like Kiffin needs a vacation. Like,
I thought he was on vacation when he went to Florida, because he was posting like he's back in Boca by FAU, and then it turns out he's just recruiting down there. So I think that, I mean, from everything you hear about him, he just like lives and breathes football. He doesn't want to talk about anything but football. So he might not want a vacation. He got that Christmas vacation where he stole the shopping cart from the grocery store. I think that was it for him. I think he's refreshed, ready to go.
Yeah, the work ethic on that man is incredible, and I think the lengths that they are going to recruit some of these guys. Like, the staff is all over the place right now.
Yeah,
and
they got Wolford up in like he's in Philly right now.
Right, he's in Philly. Peoples is in Missouri and Illinois and all kind of places like that. And like, they are traveling the map, trying to get anybody that they can get at that who's a high level player, and I absolutely love to see it. And it's not saying the previous staff did do that. It's just you didn't see it. You didn't get to talk about it because you didn't know where they were, what they were doing. It's like you might have gotten an on-3 tweet that was like, "Oh yeah, LSU is out visiting this player over here." It's like, oh, okay, cool. But like when you post the picture from the high school, with the coaches and everything, it's like it's a different level of, okay, like they're making a serious effort. They're trying to, win favor with these coaches by, giving them some hype and giving them some clout by posting them, which in favor is like, if it comes down to it, the kid has two schools that are equal. One posted a picture with the coach and at the school and everything like that, and the other didn't. The coach would be like, look, I kind of think this is a better place.
Right. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. More chats you got to get to. Deuce Gerald's looks huge. He better get some run. I think he will. And I want to look into why wasn't he a 5-star? We're talking about Corey Barber getting bumped up to the number 2 receiver, basically on how he had 1,100-yard season in the highest Bama classification. Well, Deuce Gerald's is the all-time leading sack leader for 7A Georgia. So, and like you said, he's massive. Someone else said here that he's girthy. Pause. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it doesn't seem like he's undersized. With his production, I'm surprised he's not a 5-star. But there's so many guys on that D line, like Trenton Henderson, also Lamar Brown. We've talked about at length. Big Rich. There's so many guys that can make an impact. Coupled with what you got out of the portal, you're going to have great depth there. And it is nice to see they started these workouts. So I'm already seeing videos of all the new freshmen, new faces in there. So the ball is starting to roll. I think, with baseball starting up, that'll take people's attention away. And before you know it, they'll be practicing in the spring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things I do like about the early signing period a lot is the ability to get those kids in there and get them on a college workout plan as opposed to a high school workout plan. I say that, and one of the most well-respected workout guys in the country was a high school strength and conditioning coach while I was in high school, and that's Kurt Hesser, who ended up at Houston and Tulane and all over the place and was well respected. But it's just a different level and a different level of equipment and a different schedule that you can adhere to when you get to that college level. And that's why you see all of these guys get that much bigger, that much faster, and that much stronger at this level. It's probably a just as big of a jump nowadays as it is going from high school to college as it is from college to the NFL. But as far as Deuce Gerald's not getting his 5th star, were they really going to put 3 5-stars all committed to LSU in those platforms? It's the politics for you.
Yeah. And that you bring up the politics, it's been so funny. I randomly posted a video of us last week talking about Tennessee. I think we were talking about the waiver situation with Joey Aguilar and Chambliss. I posted this video of talking about how kind of seems like Tennessee's getting a little screwed by the NCAA because they don't really know what's happening to Joey Aguilar. That has become my most TikTok. It's all Tennessee fans, and they're all in the comments bitching and moaning how Faison, whatever their one-time 5-star cornerback, he got demoted to a 4-star. He dropped a bunch of spots. Tristan Keys dropped a bunch of spots. So they're oh, there's a clear bias against us. But let's be honest, there's LSU fans say that every school thinks that there's some massive bias, but I just don't know. When you look at the stats, Tristan Keys, you want to know why he dropped? Because he barely played his senior year. He was hurt all year. Faison, I can't remember. He might have been hurt or something too. I don't know. But Deuce Gerald's, how can he be the all-time leading sack guy in Georgia high school at the highest classification and not be a 5-star? I feel like that's a no-brainer, but maybe it's like you said, they don't want to. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to give it to LSU. I'm not sure.
It's just the optics of it is them basically showing favoritism, whether or not that be the case is all it is. But it's not and I agree, that's 5-star worthy. Georgia's not a scrub state when it comes to high school football.
Easily top 5, that highest classification is easily top 5 leagues in the country.
Oh, absolutely. It's up there with Texas's highest level, California's highest level,
right.
But the optics of it is they're showing favoritism to LSU by putting a 3rd, 5th-star defensive lineman on there. If I had to guess that's probably was brought up in that final meeting. It's can we do this? Probably not.
Yeah. But the Corey Barber one shocked me. I could not believe the other day when it came out and he was the number 2 receiver. I'm pumped. Maybe I'm not as excited for him as I should have been. Originally, I remember when we got him, and then seemed like once we got him, we pushed Kenny Darby.
Yeah.
Kenny Darby, I think he went to Kentucky, I think. I was pissed. I was like watching this dude's highlights. I'm like, nothing jumps off the page to this guy like Kenny Darby's does, but what do I know? So maybe he can get run freshman year. I mean, if he's as good as this, that'll be interesting to see because the wide receiver room is probably one of the most, in terms of playing time, open rooms. Because I imagine Jace Brown or whatever, you can pencil him. He's going to be a starter from K-State. I would think, was it Jackson Harris from Hawaii? I think you get a big playing time, but there's a lot of dudes in that like small, like Aaron Anderson type archetype. So where like it's kind of like last year, who's going to be this big X receiver? Like for Ole Miss last year, they had Stribling, whatever. It's a guy they would just kind of throw it up to. Winnie Watkins is obviously going to play a bunch, but once again, he's not like this 6'3" guy. He's a little skinny, fast guy. So he could roam other shed all name team get some run. I don't know, but that'll be interesting. I wonder what the access will be like in spring because that's one group I'm interested to see where they, line up originally. Who gets those first team reps out the gate?
Yeah, I think they may try Jackson Harris in that Stribling role as well, just to see if he has the ability to do it. He's 6'3", so he's got some size to him. It may be a Trades Green situation where he kind of fills that Stribling role.
Always forget about him, man. He's basically just a receiver.
He and that's not necessarily to knock his blocking ability. At least I'm not gonna knock him for it right now.
I'll knock it. I've knocked it over and over. He's not a good blocker. We've seen it for 2 years. And guess what, guys? It's okay. Let me tell you, when he gets picked in the top 10 next year draft in April, it won't be because of his blocking. I promise you that.
He's Jimmy Graham. He's going to go in the first round to the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton's going to have Jimmy Graham 2.0. Just faster, probably.
There's some big LSU account, or maybe not big, but some LSU account on Twitter that's also like a Broncos fan that I always see. He said something the other day, like they're mocking some tight ends to Denver, and he's like, no, please wait one season. It's like, I don't think the Broncos would be bad enough to get him.
No.
Because I am salivating at how good of a season he is going to have. Just thinking of that massive tight end they had at Ole Miss, who is like the bargain bin version of Trades. He's slower, a little shorter, like less athletic, and he was the one that iced the game against us twice when we lost to them this season. So I just can't imagine how good Trades is going to be next year.
He's going to be amazing. All right, so I'll pose a question to you. Assuming that Trades is on the field, you're going empty set. Okay, so Trades is one of your 5 receivers in the play. Who are the other 4 that you're going to go with? I'm curious to see if your 4 is the same as what my 4 would be.
Oh God, okay. I would go. I think you got to put Winnie Watkins in there because I feel like he's not coming not to play, and there's obviously some sort of he played a good bit. For Ole Miss, so I expect him to get a lot of run. I imagine him. I think like Jackson Harris, like you said, he's going to play. Jace Brown for sure. God, how many more slots do I have?
I think you got one more.
I mean, what's the kid from Florida? Wilson. What's his first name?
Trey Wilson. Trey Wilson. Yeah, it's the same 4 I have.
I was about to say Eugene, but I was like, that doesn't sound right. But yeah, I think that is his real name. Yeah, I guess. But that's my thing is even him, he's in that same mold as like a Jace Brown, a Winnie Watkins. So it's like, look, I know this is our guy, but Roman Mothershed, if this dude is as good as Moscano says he's hearing from random pro scouts, that guy is the prototypical X maybe that, if that kid could work out, I'm telling you, his huddle highlights from Troy, just practice film, is ridiculous. Like I don't know what happened with Troy. I'm not sure why he didn't do better or didn't play as much, but that kid is freaky athletic. If they can get that to click, it's going to be a beast. But yeah, I think Eugene Wilson's not coming not to play.
Right.
His thing's always been health, I think, right? So if he's healthy, he's going to be. Jace Brown is definitely going to start. Jackson Harris is definitely going to start. Winnie Watkins is definitely going to play. So yeah, maybe that's your core 4, and then you got Trades.
Yeah. I'm also not going to sleep on Jabari Mack. That kid seems hungry to get on the field as a true freshman. And that's another guy that everybody who's in that scouting area and has seen him play, is super, super high on. So if there's a guy who's not necessarily on the radar who should be from kind of who we're talking about, that's who I'm going with, because he seems hungry to make an impact.
No, absolutely. What's the status on Tusi? Did he make that came out of nowhere? I mean, I feel like the whole thing, he was committed to Syracuse, and then I saw something like a week or two ago. Fran Brown was like basically saying, nah, he's actually not going to play. Like, it was more of a publicity thing. It didn't seem like that's what Tusi thought. And then all of a sudden today it pops up, he's saying, about to start my first class at the University of Louisiana State University. So I don't think he's coming anywhere near football ops.
Yeah, shout out to Leonard Fournette, University of Louisiana State University. That took me by a massive surprise as well, and it took me by even bigger surprise when I found out he was 26 years old.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this whole thing was about, but I thought I was out of the loop. I was like, when did he decide he was coming to LSU? And I was like, okay, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one who didn't know that this was happening. But yeah, I don't know.
Probably in the last 5 days. I don't think anyone knew anything about that. I'm going to need a Moscano update on his show tomorrow about that. I'd love to hear him talk about that. But
yeah, if you're going to watch Overtime Morning Scone tomorrow, just flood the comments with what's the deal with Tusi?
Tusi. Is Tusi starting next year? We have to know, Matt. Please tell us.
You think Scone even knows who Tusi is?
No, he doesn't. No. Tusi is. I don't know if he doesn't. Oh, let's see. Mother Shed been locked in the facility every day. He's next up. He better be. So let me tell you, whatever 200 yards to Troy, we're going to need better than that, young man. But listen, I only hear good things. Well, it's just that one thing Moscano said, apparently. But I'm rolling with it because that's the kid that, he's the stereotype of, the Nick Anderson. Not archetype of Nick Anderson. That's kind of his max potential is what we thought we were getting last year with Nick Anderson. A guy that can go up, get the ball, and then he's all yak, freak athlete. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops. If I had to guess, he's probably not going to play a bunch next year, just because I feel like him, the Old Dominion kid, and a few others seem like they're more developmental projects. But he'll have an opportunity with his size to play for sure. We need stock and pod. Yeah, I don't know. Me and Nunez were talking before the show about men's basketball, and we're just completely checked out. We give up. The stock did send me a good coaching board that I'm not sure. I'm not sure he actually did it. Looked like Grok maybe did it, but he had some sleeper candidates on there.
My wish is
what do we think about Joshua Dobson's comments? So yeah, that's the guy that Corey Raymond. He's the 5-star. I think he's the number 1 corner in the nation for next year out of North Carolina. He had a quote today saying, I guess Rivals asked him what he likes about LSU, and he said they were DBU for a while. And I was like, excuse me, for a while? It's acting as if we have lost that title. I don't think so. So especially not with the season we had with our corners this past year. So he needs to come correct if he's going to commit, because I didn't like to hear that.
Well, especially you're going to have one defensive back who's going to go locked in first round in Mansour Delane. AJ Halsey could end up going in the first round as well. So if you're going to put 2 DBs in the first round, I don't think you can say for a while. I do understand that, prior to this season, there were some issues. There was a lull between whatever, but even then they still put guys in the NFL. So it's like I don't like that, but somebody will correct him.
Yeah. Well, I just think that goes to shows that Matt House did generational aura damage to the LSU defense. I don't know. It just feels like it was so bad that it made these kids forget. They put that big of a black hole in the secondary, and then it was so bad, like Baker, it took him, an additional year to get past. He had to get his own guys in the scheme. You can only do so much with Major Burns and was it Andre Sam? They were really trying to do a lot with a little. So it was a nightmare, like Garrett says.
And think about think about the job Blake Baker has done in terms of rebuilding that defense, going from being the worst defense in LSU history and one of the worst defenses in the country 2-3 years ago, whatever it was, to now defense is the only thing keeping us in games this past year. Defense is the majority of the reason we are 7-5 this past year. Like, as sad as that sounds, that's how bad the offense was, but that's how much the defense carried it, and that's why I'm one of the biggest Blake Baker stands you'll find. That the job that he's done rebuilding this defense is just absolutely incredible to me.
Yeah, and I think that first year was, I mean, there was only one place to go up from that final Matt House year, but with his scheme, how aggressive it is, like, you really do have to have good players, especially in the secondary, or else it's just not going to work. And I think last year was the first year he really had like a lot of his guys, and it was, year 2 in the system for the people he got the year before. So yeah, I couldn't be higher. I think he's got the potential to be the modern day Kirby Smart. Like, all the national media guys rave about him as well. And he's just got a great personality, and he has the scheme to back it up. Like, he will be a great head coach one day, and I just love that we're able to keep him. And it's like a double-edged sword. If we have a really good year this year and make a run at things, which is looking like we're gonna have a shot to this last year, because I wonder what his philosophy will be, because I'll say it now, I bet my life that South Carolina job is open next year. I'm trying to think, there's always a couple jobs every year. I wonder, does he have an appetite for something like that? I would say, why would you go to South Carolina? It's tough to win there. You're going to be mid-tier resources, if not below average in the SEC. So if he really does the Kirby plan, he really could be holding out for a bigger job.
He could. I think you kind of look on the tier level of a Florida State or someone like that at that point, because
right,
Lord knows Norvell's days are numbered at Florida State. So if he takes over a program at like Florida State where, hey, we're struggling a lot, the past few years did more harm than good for us, come in, rebuild it. And if he can rebuild Florida State, just using them as an example, the same way he rebuilt the defense, I have no doubts that he'll be successful at Florida State or whatever school it is. I wouldn't be surprised to see him take a look at Missouri either, just because of the familiarity that he has with the program. And Drank's name was kicked around a lot this cycle. So does he become a top name in next year's cycle and take something other than Missouri? And does Blake Baker slot in there?
That could very well be. And I'm sure if Drink finally got a chance to get out of Columbia, he would do it. But it's just another thing, same as South Carolina. I guess you want to be a head coach of an SEC school. That's big enough, but it's just tough. I think Missouri is honestly might be a little bit better job than South Carolina. But it's neck and neck. It's all personal opinion. Okay, we got a lot of questions here, so we can roll through them. Joe Brady, head coach. Never forget what he did for us in 2019. I got a hot take. I don't think he's going to work out that good as a head coach. Hate to say it about him, but I don't know. Not to turn this to an NFL podcast, but it seemed like a bit of a panic hire for the Bills. And I've never really been blown away of what he's done in the NFL. I know originally when he got hired with Matt Rule to be the Panthers, that there was an article that came out at the end of their whole run that Joe Brady's offense was like embarrassingly simple and repetitive when he had the Panthers. And I'm sure he developed or whatever, but I don't think the Bills' offense has really set the world on fire since he's been there. I think their best offensive years seem to be right before he got there. So I don't know. Hate that for him too, because I don't know. And he doesn't ever seem like the big rah-rah guy to me either. So I don't know if I can be sold on him changing the mindset, but I guess I don't really know.
No, I see what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think part of the reason why he hasn't been as flashy as you would have hoped in Buffalo is they never really got the receivers that they needed. And that's part of the thing with the salary cap in the NFL is you can't necessarily go get big guys. Obviously, they have their issues with Keon Coleman. we don't necessarily need to dig that deep into it, but they haven't been able to hit on a wide receiver in the draft for a very long time. And when they do, it's not necessarily in the draft. I mean, they go find Khalil Shakir, who's undrafted guy. So I will give him a chance to get some receivers in there and see what he can do with some high level receivers. But I agree. I don't necessarily think that was the hire that they necessarily wanted. I don't know if it makes a whole lot of sense. I'm extremely happy for Joe Brady.
Yeah.
But you just, I guess defense was the problem in Buffalo this year. So promoting your offensive coordinator to head coach makes some sense. But it just didn't feel like that was the right move.
Well, the real problem was your quarterback turned the ball over 4 times in the playoffs. So it's like, whose fault is that? I don't think that's anybody's coaching fault. I mean, he had a bad game. It is what it is. I don't want to rave on this too much. I don't hate them letting go of McDermott just because like he's a good coach for them, but at some point you keep hitting this wall, and it's like it kind of felt like with Brian Kelly, right? Like every time we go into like one of these big games late in the season, I feel like we're gonna lose, and we pretty much did 99% of the time. So at some point you do need a new voice just to be like get the players to be like we can get over the hump with a new voice in the locker room, but I don't know. Didn't love it. For him, he's going to have a ton of expectations. If he doesn't win a Super Bowl, it's a failure. So that's tough for him. Wanted to see him be the Bengals coach for himself.
I agree. That feels like it would have made the most sense.
Premature prediction, who wears 7 and 18? I'll go first. I want to see Trey-Dez in 7. I mean, I think it's a little easier this year. You get Trey-Dez in 7, and you get Whit Weeks in 18.
Yeah, I agree. My pick for 7 is either Trey-Dez or DJ Pickett. 18 is got to be Whit Weeks. I don't know. The thing is, you have so few options of key impact returners to be able to choose from, and I don't necessarily want to go back down the path of giving it to a transfer portal guy, i.e. Jonathan Giles.
You're right. Yeah, it's been a long time since that happened.
Yeah, so I think it has to be returners, and I think there's just so few to choose from that I think those choices are pretty easy to make when it comes to 7 and 18.
I don't hate the idea though of DJ Pickett in 7.
I love
a DB back in it.
Right. It's primarily been a DB number. I'm trying to think who was the first one to switch it over. Fournette was the first one to switch it over, I think, because it was Highsmith, Pat Pete, Tyron, and I think after Tyron it was Fournette, and then after that it kind of stuck around on the offense a little bit before it went back to Perk. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would like to see it on defense. I think playmaking ability on defense with 7 just feels more right than it being on offense. 18 can go either way. I don't want it to go back to a quarterback for a little bit. No disrespect to Nuss, but it just looks funny on a quarterback for some reason.
Yeah, just the thing with the number ranges is they just scare me because in recent
Did I lose you for a second?
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm back now. I don't know what happened. Okay, we got a ton of chats here. Oh, hold on there. I can't stop thinking about Seaton's education. I think someone said earlier, is Seaton front row in class right now? Yep. His uncle texts him saying he needs to be front row.
Oh shit. That's funny. How upset do you think his uncle was over the whole situation?
Yeah. Well, his uncle probably, I mean, it probably worked out for him. Probably got the bag he wanted, and Seaton got to go to LSU like he wanted, so it probably all worked out. Okay. What about the Tigers practicing the Senior Bowl right now? And more specifically, apparently how Chris Hilton was standing out. What was that? Where was that LSU? Yeah, Chris Hilton always is going to be the biggest what if. I think I saw something today that Chris Hilton is going to be like the first ever prospect to participate in like all 4, like, I don't know what you call them, like the Senior Bowl, the East West Shrine Bowl, and like 2 of the other ones. So good for him. He needs all the reps and film he can get.
And I mean, if you're putting out that much film and doing all of the things that we've seen clips of so far, then you can definitely boost your draft stock a lot, Chris Hilton, and I hope you do. I genuinely hope you do, because this previous staff did him so dirty by just not utilizing him.
I mean, wouldn't be shocked if a ton of players from this past year's team had good pro careers, and we'll just look back and be like, I don't understand how that didn't work, but a disaster year all around. All right, more chats. Just want to say I agree we don't care about stars, but I care about them when they fit my agenda. Oh, yeah. I mean,
TJ.
It's very true. It's very true. I mean, it's great for optics. It's great for optics, and it's a great rallying for the fan base, especially in the off season when there's really not a whole lot going on. It can build momentum. So, and just going back to the Saban comments, I think what he's saying is a little BS. I feel like they do kind of look at it.
I think there were probably some people on his staff who looked at it and kind of helped identify some targets for him, but I wouldn't be shocked if Saban didn't look at a single star. Like, he probably had people on staff he designated to look at it and see if there was anybody he was missing, but I would not be surprised at all if Saban never looked at a single star rating.
Yeah. I just feel like it's natural human nature, though. Like, you're like, you just want to go check out, like, what's the team ranking at? Like, oh, interesting. I don't know. All those dudes are so competitive, like, even on something that, and at the end of the day, doesn't matter at all. I could see them. Okay. Are we poaching Easton Royal from Texas? I think we will eventually. If we have a good year, I'd be shocked. If we make the playoffs, I'd be shocked if we don't get it. But you're going to have to come correct with that bag.
Right. Especially if you have the money. And, I mean, if you're Easton Royal, Texas's quarterback situation is not necessarily solved after Arch leaves after this year. You know where LSU's going at quarterback, so check mark there. And if Texas keeps doing what Texas does, is, you know, we're building something, we're getting to the playoffs this year, and then they just fall flat once again, then, I mean, and LSU does make the playoffs next year, that's an easy kind of thing for me, in my opinion. Is like, okay, well, I can stay home, I can play for somebody who's actually going to make the playoffs, and I know who my quarterback's going to be next year.
Right. And, man, once I heard that he was a big LSU fan, I just have a hard time believing if we don't show promise this year that he won't be at LSU. You know who 2026 Texas reminds me of just as a team? It's 2025 LSU. You got the returning quarterback who's supposed to be the 1-1 pick coming. You went all in on the transfer portal. Massive expectation. I mean, they're probably going to start the year number 1 in the country. We didn't obviously get that high, but some similar vibes, man. And that's the thing. Texas is a tough place. They got a tough fan base just like LSU, and you drop a game or two early that people don't expect, the heat could get turned up big on Sark.
Especially if they lose to Ohio State at home. So you go back-to-back years, lose to Ohio State. That will get hairy right off the bat in Austin.
Definitely. Absolutely. Is Clemson screwed week 1? Oh, yeah. That's going to be B2A, I think. I think that'll be one of the best Tiger Stadium atmospheres in some years.
I'm terrified of what the ticket prices are going to be for that game.
Yeah.
They're going to be astronomical, that game.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you have Ole Miss fans cheering for LSU to win that game now.
It's the craziest turn of events. I guess that also happened in between the last time we talked. Shout out Dabo, man. I said this, he's the only coach that could come out and do that because everyone else does it, I think, except Clemson. Like, he's legitimately probably the only coach of a major program that can come out and say, like, accuse other teams of tampering and, like, not have it just come right back on you. Because I think Clemson legitimately doesn't tamper.
Legitimately. And the funny thing was, I'm a big Josh Pate listener, and Pate had said, you finally bring Dabo into the transfer portal, kicking and screaming. And then the first time he's able to kind of make an impact in the transfer portal, he gets one of his players tampered with while they're in class, and they go sign someplace else after that. If I was Dabo and that was my philosophy, I'd just retire. Like, I can't do this. I give up, wave the white flag. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I think this year will be big for them, and I don't know how good they're going to be. I mean, I don't know if they start the year ranked. They're rolling with whoever the backup's been the last couple of years behind Klubnik. Yeah, I don't know anything about him. I don't know how much they used the portal this year compared to last year. I know last year was like the first time they did it, and they got some decent names. I remember like Will Helt was a big transfer from DM that we wanted from Purdue. He went there. I just don't understand, because the thing going into the Clemson game this year was like, oh my God, they have like 6 players projected to go in the first 2 rounds. And as I'm starting to look at mock drafts and stuff now, all those players are still projected, besides Klubnik, to be like first and second round picks. So it's just like, what happened with that team, man? I mean, did that LSU loss really break them that bad? I mean, that game is a weird one, because at the time that seemed like a potential like deep playoff. Like, you could see that matchup again later down the line. Both the teams just decided to stink it up the rest of the year.
Yeah, that game is still puzzling to this day, because we're all sitting there watching a top 10 game, and it's a defensive slobber knocker basically. And you're thinking, okay, yeah, these two teams are going to go on no matter what after this game to go, kick some ass the rest of the way. And neither of them did at all. So I think Dabo's definitely got something to prove this year, because if they have another year like they did this year, next year, he may be done, and he honestly may end up going out on his own accord and just resigning and being like, I don't want any part of this anymore.
Well, whatever happens, I don't think they should. You can't fire him. I mean, unless he like is refusing to go, because he's obviously such a legend for them. It's just some people don't, keep up in the new eras. It's unfortunate, but I don't think they even did as much in the portal as they did last year, now that we talk about it. So yeah, I wonder what they're going to look like this year. Maybe because it's just more of the Clemson team and that Clemson culture. Maybe they'll be more improved because they'll play together, which I remember there was some footage later in the midseason last year of like him trying to hype up the players during some games they were losing on the sidelines, and it was just like players were like rolling their eyes, and it's just not what you would ever expect to see from a Dabo Clemson team, which is like they were so big on culture back in the day when they were rolling. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. A tough matchup for them week 1. I bet they wish they could cancel that
game. Yeah, that's for damn sure. All my Clemson fan friends are pretty high on Fazina, though, so we shall see. Yeah, they are. Yeah. I don't know what they're basing it off of, but we shall see.
I mean, we'll see. I'm sure he was highly recruited at some point. I mean, I'm sure if they thought he sucked, they would have tried to do something. I don't think that Dab was just being a good guy. He must see something in him. It's just
right.
How much better is he going to be than what Klubnik was last year, which still wasn't enough. But yeah, it'll be interesting. They have a new OC. They let go of Riley, so it'll be a little different. I mean, they have some potential, some stuff. So, is there any? I want to talk about this. In the last 15 minutes or so, we do this. Man, now that the dust has settled at the transfer portal, I've been so laser focused on LSU and our targets and who we're getting. I really hadn't been paying attention much to the rest of the SEC, what they were doing. Besides some of the high-profile commitments, and obviously where our former players are going, a lot landed at, A&M, Kentucky, stuff like that. But the last 2 days, I went through some of the team rankings for the portal, and I am perplexed by a few teams in their thing, their strategy. Number 1, this was shocking to me, and when I looked at it, it clicked because I hadn't heard this team's name barely at all for any top players in the entire portal. The University of Florida, they are currently like 12th in the portal rankings in the SEC. They brought in no one of note. I want to know if John Summerall knows he's playing in the SEC next year and not the American, because I mean, you might as well call them Florida Tech because they took like 5 guys from Georgia Tech. Obviously, the quarterback, who I know some people are high on. Okay, he could be solid, but I mean, it's a lot of group of 5 guys that are coming in. I'm shocked because if they were really going to pony up all this NIL money for Lane Kiffin, if he was coming in, what happened to it? I mean, they weren't in on anybody big. And I know all the Florida fans are turned around. They're behind Summerall because he's this rah-rah guy. Look, that's great. Every new coach at his new school, everyone's fired up for him going in the year. What happens when he loses the first 3 games next year? Or not the first 3, but what happens when they start losing like they have in the past? Like, is the plan to just roll with the Billy Napier primary squad? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, I'm not high on Philo at all. I mean, you kind of saw the regression of Georgia Tech. That's my second team. That's who I play college football 26 with is Georgia Tech. So I know a decent amount about that squad. I'm not high on Philo. You saw how much that offense regressed when he had to come in and play. So when Haynes King was hurt, so having that guy as my starter next year would make me worried. And then Georgia Tech is playing in the ACC, and Georgia Tech did have a fairly easy schedule in some parts. So, like, you drop those guys into Florida's schedule next year, and you really think you're going to be able to be successful? I don't like what Florida did at all. They did get did they not get Eric Singleton?
They did. That was like the one guy that was like, okay, yeah, that's definitely a good player. But yeah, I mean, I was shocked when I went through the rankings. Like, when I saw it, I was like, damn. And then I was like, yeah, I guess I really haven't heard Florida mentioned with any of these, big time, portal players. So I don't know how that's going to go, because that seems like an interesting strategy for a school that was trying to tell us they had more money than us. Is it just that, oh, you're not going to give it to Summerall? Well, then you're not even giving him a chance to succeed. And look, I know you want to give these coaches time, and that's how it's been historically. Yeah, you got to give them 3 years, right? That was the thing with Brian Kelly. Oh, just wait for year 3. That's when his teams really turn the corner. In this day and age, you're not going to get 3 years. So if Florida comes out next year and it's a year like they've been having the last 4 or 5 years, good luck ever getting the ball rolling. I think that was one thing that went right for Brian Kelly at LSU, is that initially went 10 wins regular season, went to the SEC championship his first year, got that ball rolling. If he doesn't get that, being the obvious second choice who they wanted, I think it could get real rough for someone. And I don't see the team how he can compete. No,
and I think all eyes at that point from a larger SEC athletics perspective goes to the AD, Strickland. Okay, you didn't give Lane Kiffin his way. You didn't let him bring on his own GM. Our side is reporting that that's why he took LSU over us, because he wanted to bring in his own GM and you wanted to bring in somebody with NFL experience, whatever. But you made that decision, and now we are stuck with Summerall. We did nothing of, we didn't move mountains in the portal like we would have hoped, and now we're sitting here with a mediocre season. That's on you. And I think Florida fans, if they were in the chat, would probably agree with that to an extent, because they've wanted his head for a little while now. And I just don't see if this season doesn't go well, how his seat doesn't get even hotter, or how he doesn't get dumped.
Is that just where's the NIL commitment that you supposedly had for Kiffin? It's just just because Kiffin's not going to come, you're not going to tap into that at all? And I wonder if it's kind of like with LSU, we're just seem to be finding money because Kiffin's the coach. Maybe there's a lot of Florida guys that are willing to shove out some NIL donations for Lane Kiffin, but now with Summerall, it's actually, I'm going to wait to see how this goes. And kind of like I said, they get off to a bad start. He never get his feet out from under him. Their schedule is going to be so tough every year. And the fact that they're not in on anybody, I think according to 24/7, Eric Singleton's the only 4-star transfer that they got. It's all, I'm telling you, it's guys from JMU, right, Marshall. It's you really better hope that you're going to be hitting on some of these guys, because I don't know. I don't see them in any of these big NIL battles. I can't imagine their portal class was that expensive outside of Singleton. And even him, it's not like he's Cam Coleman,
Right. I mean, there's a lot to be desired here from that Florida class. I think it'll certainly be interesting to see what they do this year. I don't have high expectations for them. Um, in terms of NIL, I mean, you kind of go back a month and a half ago, and you sit there and watch Kiffin's introductory press conference and hear him talk about, the NIL packages that all four schools, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida, and the mystery team, which I believe is Florida State now.
Yeah.
So you go back and look at all of those now. Florida didn't really do much. I don't think Florida State was really in on anybody that
they're in a financially screwed place right now.
Right. And then so that leaves LSU and Ole Miss were the two that could actually put their money where their mouth was, quite literally, and bring in portal classes. And Ole Miss's portal class was solid. It wasn't LSU's, but it was good.
Yeah, it was right up there with everyone else. And then the other school that caught my eye towards the bottom was Georgia. I mean, I think it's still this resistance from Kirby to, want to play the NIL game in 2026. And it's like, I don't know how long he's been able to do that. Last year really seemed like that was a big drop off from his teams recently in the last couple of years. And I went through, their portal commits. It seems like a lot of depth pieces. I think it was like brothers of former players. Last year they made some splashes like Zachariah Branch. He was pretty, highly rated prospect. He did very good. So does he just feel that great about the team going into next year? I can't imagine that, especially when going into the portal, a lot of national people were pretty much saying, like, you would think Georgia has all this money, but really, no, they don't. Same thing with Alabama. You would think they have all this money, but honestly, compared to some other schools, they don't, because compared to LSU, you got the whole state of Louisiana, all that money.
Perfect.
Alabama, you got it split between Auburn might have more money than Alabama. You got the Apple money, the Yellowwood money, and then Georgia. I know your guy Josh Pate was basically saying you would think because Delta, Chick-fil-A, all these big time companies in Atlanta is right there, but they really don't give like people think. So I wonder, is it more Kirby not wanting to pay these guys and get in these negotiations, or is it really they just don't have the money to compete? That's definitely a mix of both, but I would have to think it's more on the Kirby side.
Yeah, and I have a hard time believing that if Kirby wanted the money, he couldn't go find it. So I would probably lean more towards it being a Kirby problem. And my thing with that is how, if you were Kirby Smart's agent, would you not show him what's going on at Clemson and how Clemson has regressed year after year because they refuse to go dip into the portal and refuse to kind of buy in with NIL as much as they should be? Like, if I'm Kirby Smart's agent, I am laying out year by year records for Clemson and showing this is what you risk running if you don't dip into the portal. It doesn't need to be your primary source, but play with it.
You gotta do something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I think it'll be a thing like Clemson and Dabo where it's like, who at Clemson can really tell Dabo anything? Because he's the all-time greatest coach there. Like, who at Georgia to be able to tell Kirby Smart anything? Like, I feel like whatever Kirby says is what's going to go there, and rightfully so. But it's just, it's adapt or die. They need to do it. I don't know, but I mean, I think that's why it kind of leaves the SEC pretty wide open these next couple years. I think the three biggest money players you got in the conference right now are LSU, Texas, and A&M. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Kentucky is one that is towards the top of the rankings, surprisingly. They're going after a lot of big names. A lot of former LSU players there. Nick Anderson. So Lance Hurd landed there. They got a couple more. Who am I missing?
They were looking to try to get Caden Durham.
That's right. That's who it was. Yeah. So, I mean, look, Kentucky has money. If they're paying like 20-something million for basketball, I think they can find it. It's just I need to see how this first year goes, because if it's a dud, which I can imagine it being with it, I want to know who's calling plays. That's the biggest thing I need to know. Who's calling plays? Is Will Stein calling plays or Joe Sloan? Because if you tell me Will Stein's calling plays, I can somewhat get behind the Joe Sloan hire, because I think Joe Sloan is a decent recruiter and he's another young guy. Maybe they can kind of come up together. If he's calling plays, I got big time worries if I'm a Kentucky fan. I don't care who you have. Oh, and they got Nick Anderson.
Ahmad, bro.
And Ahmad, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So solid, yeah. I guess. Some decent players.
Yeah, and I think if you're a Kentucky fan, what you kind of hope is that Will Stein kind of takes a page out of the Lane Kiffin playbook and says, okay, Joe, here's my offense. Here's what I want to do. Here's how we're going to run it. I want you to call the plays, but I want you to call the plays out of my offense, which is exactly what Kiffin has done with Charlie Weiss. Now, Weiss and Kiffin have a much larger relationship, but I think that may be a way that could work. And I think part of it is Sloan developed his offense at Louisiana Tech rather than developing his offense at a Power 5 under an offensive-minded head coach. I think that's probably where that development for Sloan had kind of went. Whereas Weiss, you're getting Lane Kiffin's playbook to call plays out of while developing your offensive mind under an offensive-minded head coach. That's kind of what I think. If I was a Kentucky fan, I would hope would be the case, is that Joe Sloan, if he does call plays, is calling them out of Stein's offense.
Oh, well, if it's the Joe Sloan offense, there, we don't need to worry about any players that yet, because it's not going to be great. Although, it wouldn't shock me if he honestly ended up being pretty decent. I just feel like this season at LSU is such a combination of things that led to everyone's demise that it's kind of crazy. And even in saying that, I think even for LSU fans, it ended up working out, because someone brought up a good point the other day. I don't know where I saw it, but what if Nussmeier never hurts his core or whatever? There's a good chance that Brian Kelly's still the coach. We don't have Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's at Florida. So that's an interesting rabbit hole to fall down, because look, I don't even know how much I buy into this Nussmeier injury thing. I know he's went on whatever radio show at the Senior Bowl, and he's talking about how he couldn't use his core at all and how he injured it right after the Alabama game in practice. Very convenient timing with that injury. Right when everyone wanted Michael Van Buren to start, and that was the only option. So, do I believe he was hurt? Yes, but I don't know if I believe the timeline.
Yeah, I think the timeline is the only part that's really off. I think it was a lot earlier than what we were led on, which shows you how poorly that whole situation was managed. I think give him time to get healthy, put him in an NFL style offense, and I think Nuss might make some waves in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, if he doesn't get hurt, where are we right now? It's scary to think about.
I think Brian Kelly's still your coach. Yeah, you probably maybe you beat Vanderbilt, but I don't know. Do you beat A&M? It just probably don't get destroyed by A&M like you did. So
right.
But yeah, even that it was going to be impossible to do anything with that O-line this year, which had nothing to do with injury.
No.
So it's I don't know, but I want to see Nussmeier get drafted by the Rams bad. I think that would be amazing for him. Let him go behind Stafford, who I think that's a good comp for him as well. If he could sit with McVay, I still think he could be very good at the pro level if that injury stuff is as real as people say it is, which I have to believe just based off of that one throw against Louisiana.
Yeah, I think the Rams would be a really good fit for him. I like that one a lot. Trying to think about who else kind of needs a quarterback right now.
The Niners, just give him he needs to go to some quarterback guru.
Yeah, I don't want to see him go to the Jets. Please, God, do not let him go to the Jets. God knows they're going to be looking for a quarterback after Dante Moore's not going in the portal. So,
right. Hey, they might love that Mason Taylor connection. Yeah,
I feel bad for Mason Taylor.
He might as well just retire if that happens. Yeah, he's in a bad spot if you feel bad.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think, is there any other? I mean, all the receivers I think are going pro. Apparently, they've all been doing really well at the Shrine Bowl or whatever. I know before we came on, I think Xavier Thomas put a tweet out what did he say? Something like, we're all dogs, but like just because things didn't go our way this year doesn't mean like we're not all beasts. Like I would agree with that. Like Barry and Brown, like Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson for sure. I could all see these guys having like very nice NFL careers, and I'm telling you, we'll just be sitting here in like 5 years and we'll be looking back like, man, that team had like Aaron Anderson, Delane, Halsey. Like, how did we suck? And it's just gonna be like, oh, I need to make the documentary.
Yeah, somebody will make a documentary about the whole Brian Kelly era at LSU one day, and it'll be painful. It'll be very bittersweet. Let's go with that because it'll be painful to relive it, but happy we're out of it.
Yeah, it'll make for a hell of a show. Best part of these portal additions last year, LSU's offensive line was on the smaller and leaner side, and it was evident in runs between the tackles. With Seaton, this one the large lines. Yeah, Seaton's massive.
It's a big boy.
Well, all the guys they brought in are pretty big. Yeah, like you said, they were lean, they were weak, they didn't know their assignments. I mean, we could go on and on.
Oh yeah, I think the two biggest ones, just from watching highlights that I've seen off the top of my head, is Seaton and Ba. Ba is also just looks like an absolute tower. Like he looks like he's gonna move some people.
I think he's probably him and Benefield are easily the most underrated additions we got. I think Ba came in right before Seaton, so it's like no one's really talking about him, and Benefield was kind of the very beginning. I think both those dudes are beasts. Like you said, Ba, he's plug and play starter on the line. He's got some great highlights. Someone did like a tape of him, and they were really high on him. So I'm very excited about him as well. Yeah, some big boys, and that boy from Kentucky. What's that city he's from?
Pawpaw, Michigan.
Pawpaw, Michigan. Yeah, I mean, he's got to be a big fella if he's from Pawpaw. So, like you said, Brian, yeah, we're back in the big uglies on the O-line, which is a good sight to see.
Yep, grateful for it.
This isn't Boise State. We need a large and athletic offensive line. Yeah, you do. Yeah, and you need depth too because we're going to 9 conference games. It's going to be a war at the end of the season. Just the thought of having to play Clemson week 1, then you're playing 9 SEC games, hopefully an SEC championship, and then making a playoff run. We're basically asking these guys to play a pro schedule. It's pretty ridiculous.
Essentially, that's what it is. I mean, we get closer and closer to playing an NFL schedule every year now. At some point, they've got to lock in on a certain number of conference games, a certain playoff format. I mean, because we're getting to the point where the college football season is going to be the same length of the NFL season. Like, I think we would have just gotten done with the national championship last week. This time next year, I guess, if that
it's like
mind
5
mapping
days
makes
later
sense.
next year. Yeah,
it's like, oh God, like we're just going to keep extending this.
Yeah, and the worst thing, right? But they gotta condense it because by the end of the year, every year, if your team's not in, it's like just this needs to end. Like I can't believe this is still dragging out. I agree. Yeah, the worst thing the SEC ever did was go to 9 games. We got completely baited by the Big Ten into that, and all these Big Ten schedules are coming out. Indiana's is a joke. You look at some of these Big 12 schedules. Texas is a joke, and then you look at every single SEC one, and it is a absolute bloodbath. So. Especially now with all this talk of it seems like everyone wants to crown the Big Ten as the best conference. That's not going to help you optically later in the next year if that's still the case, which I imagine that's what people will be saying until the SEC wins the national championship again. So,
right.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't know how. I just don't know. When's the next time we're going to see an undefeated SEC team going into postseason? It could be a long time.
Yeah. Everything would have to fall right. You would have to be an elite team talent-wise, and everything would have to fall the right way schedule-wise for you to be able to survive as an undefeated team, SEC team going into the schedule. Yeah. Because even this year, like if we went undefeated this year, I would tell you you're crazy, just because of some of the absolute bloodbaths we're going to have to get into down the stretch.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be tough, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is just gonna be. I mean, it's like this every year, but you gotta hope you don't get these major injuries. But man, you really run the risk the more games you play, especially in SEC is by far the most physical conference as well.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
oh, the Big Ten narrative drives me insane. You can tell me that they have you know, the better top flight teams. Okay, I can agree with that for right now. You cannot tell me that playing in the SEC is not tougher week in and week out than the Big Ten. I mean, I think I've said it 100 times, but I would rather play in basically any bottom tier Big Ten on the road in the end of the season than I would at Missouri State, at Auburn. It's very frustrating, but this is where we're going to be till SEC puts like 3 teams in the Final Four one of these years, and someone
right.
wins it. So
I want to see.
I think they'll get back.
I want to see the SEC and the Big Ten do what they do in basketball. I think it's the SEC and the Big 12 or the ACC. Maybe I can't remember off the top of my head. Where they do a conference rivalry week where you play somebody from the other conference. Let's do that. Let's see how that plays out. We don't have the exact same number of teams to make it match out, but we could just drop off whatever other teams from the Big Ten you want to drop out, and then we'll see who's actually the better conference at that point.
The problem with football is they schedule all these games literally 15 years in advance, which makes it so difficult to do stuff like that. And
it's ridiculous.
There's so much politics between the conferences. I don't know if either would ever agree to do something like that, even though it would be incredible for the fans. Like, imagine, God, it would be a great, like, LSU versus Penn State. Like, can you imagine?
Electric.
Home and home.
Electric. Yes.
Oh, man.
The two of the best atmospheres that everybody likes to say in the country. We get a Penn State. We go to Penn State for a whiteout. They come to LSU for Saturday night in Death Valley.
That's how you should do it. You do right. It's a home and home. That would be insane. I can only think like Alabama, Ohio, or Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama, Michigan. There's so many incredible matchups you could do. I'm hoping to win the penalty battle this year. Seemed like we were hyped. Yeah, we were. Even though BK was supposed to be big on discipline. Yeah. There's always just dumb mistakes like pre-snap. And what I'm not going to miss is we just came out of a 2.5-minute TV timeout. Oh, hold on. We got to call timeout before the play starts because something's going on. They have to, they have to get better at that, and I imagine they will. And I think Kiffin's offense is much more like quick up tempo, which I know we've talked about before. Cannot wait for that. When was the last time we saw a up-tempo offense consistently? This is 2019. And even that wasn't like what I think we're going to be getting with Kiffin.
Kiffin levels, right?
Yeah.
I had to think back, and I passed up 2019 thinking of like Kiffin levels of tempo. But yeah, I don't think we were. For some LSU fans who haven't paid attention to like Kiffin's scheme throughout the years, right? I imagine that this is going to be a massive culture shock to see them running the amount of plays they do in a short period of time.
Right. You just got to think to when we played Ole Miss and our defense on the field for like 80 plays in an incredibly short amount of time. Like that's what that offense does to you.
That's why the game got away from me in the second half.
Right.
It's
crazy to think back that we should have won that game if we had a functional quarterback. Like the turnovers that Nuss threw in that game were backbreaking. Just
To be fair, though, I don't know if MVP would have been the answer there either.
No, but at the time, I understand why everyone wanted it because we didn't.
Oh yeah,
and
it
was already getting to the point of Nuss. It's like I can't keep watching this anymore.
It's a grass greener situation.
Yeah, absolutely. In HBCU, we have SWAC and MEAC. We sort of have that. Yeah. I would love to do something similar.
That would be incredible. I would love that. Big Ten versus SEC challenge.
And I'm sure the TV ratings would be nuclear.
Astronomical.
But so much politics in college football, I just can't imagine we'll see it. Always is SEC versus everybody, yeah. Which just pissed me off because I root for everyone in the SEC to lose all the time, but this narrative is starting. Like, am I going to have to start rooting for some of our rivals in the postseason? I think I could do it for any school except Ole Miss and Florida. And A&M. Can't do A&M.
I don't know if I can.
You know what? Fuck, I can never root for them. I hope the Big Ten stays the best conference.
I'm sitting here going through like the teams you're naming. Like, yep, I couldn't root for them either. I can't root for Alabama. Don't really want to root for
I was thinking Texas. I was like, no, fuck, I can't stomach that either. They would be insufferable. The only one I'm always usually okay with is Georgia. Like,
yeah,
I don't really care. They don't ever piss me off. I respect Kirby, but I don't like we talked about 10 minutes ago. I don't think they're ever. I don't know if they're going to adapt and be in that position again where they're usually winning national championships. They don't change their philosophy.
There's probably more that I root against than more than I would root for.
Yeah, and all the ones we root for, it's like it's never going to happen.
Oklahoma's probably the best one that I could root for.
No, see, like being from Dallas, I could fucking never do that. There are so many other schools I would do before Oklahoma. Honestly, there's not. I think Vandy and Georgia. God, don't like Auburn. Don't like Alabama. Definitely not Tennessee. God, no, we can't have Tennessee.
Can't do Tennessee. Missouri, maybe.
Arkansas. Yeah, I could do Missouri.
Arkansas.
Man, that would be quite the turnaround for Drink. Can't win a single ranked game to national championship. That would be easy. I hate Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone will agree with you there. I don't hate Georgia though.
No, Georgia. It depends on the sport. It really depends on the sport for me. Like I hate different schools depending upon the sport. Like you ask me who I hate the most in football, it's A&M and Alabama. Who I hate the most in baseball, it's Florida and Tennessee. Who do I hate the most in basketball? Kentucky. Maybe just Kentucky. Probably the most.
I don't even care about basketball because it's like we're always getting our ass kicked. So.
Yeah. Kentucky and then Ole Miss probably, a nice third somewhere on that list for all of them.
Yeah. Florida A&M and Ole Miss top three. Yeah, I think that's mine as well for sure. My order would probably be, God, that's tough. Ole Miss, I think, is my clear new number one, just because of all this, which I kind of like because I feel like with Nick Saban retiring and now LSU losing Alabama as a protected opponent, I feel like that's going to start to fade a little bit over these next 5 or so years. So it's nice to have like this penciled in number one rivalry because I tell you what. I think Ole Miss's number one rival too now. I think someone said, Mississippi State an afterthought. Oh yeah, for everybody at this point. That's just how they are. They came in with the dead last portal class. I feel bad for Levy a little bit. He's never going to get a real chance there.
They're tanking. They're stockpiling all of their NIL funds for 2 or 3 years from now.
I mean, that should be the way they go, but it's just like, ugh.
That's my favorite message board comment over the portal from this cycle is, all right, guys, we're Mississippi State. We should just tank and not spend any NIL money for the next 3 years. 4 years from now, we'll put together a national championship roster. It would be great. It's like, I love this. This is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, they got to get creative, I guess. It's not the worst idea of all time.
Right.
Tennessee for basketball, yeah. When Will Wade was still there, for sure.
That was a very fun rivalry. They're in the Will Wade years.
They had those like 2 white European forwards for like the longest. I swear for like 7 years they were there. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Nowadays, they might have actually been there 7 years.
Yeah. And you know what? We better not speak too soon because they might be able to get them back mid-season. So who knows?
Oh god, that's a crazy situation.
I don't know. Almost glad LSU's not good at basketball, so I don't have to even worry about shit like that. But
right.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up here. Apologize for the little freeze we had, but shit happens on the laptop is what it is. If you want to rewatch some of this, you join late. It'll be on YouTube. I'll probably upload it to Spotify, and it'll be on Twitter, I guess, if you want to watch it there. But any closing thoughts, Zach?
Ready for baseball season.
Yep. We're getting real close. So, yes, sir. They put that new Intimidator up today. So, beautiful sight to see. Beautiful sight to see. All right, everyone. We'll catch y'all next time. Oh, wait. Forgot. I got to roll the outro. Oh, I forgot. Got to roll the outro. Here we go. I forget how to do this every single time.
sunshine. You were born under a bad sun with a blue moon in your eye. And you woke up this morning, all that love had gone. Your papa never told you about right and wrong. But you're looking good, baby. I believe that you're a feeling fine. Shade